Welcome to your last video for lesson 1. In this one we are going to be looking at algebraic expressions and how to evaluate them using the order of operations. So we're going to kind of combine the function notation idea with the order of operations that we did in the last video. So first off, we need to talk about what an expression is. An expression containing variables, numbers, and operational symbols is called an algebraic expression. So for example, 5x plus 3y plus 8 would be an example of an algebraic expression. Now, the thing that people get mixed up a lot are expressions versus equations. Equations will always have an equal sign. If it doesn't have an equal sign, then it's going to be an expression. And then algebraic expressions can be evaluated for given values. To evaluate for a given value, we're going to substitute the given number for the matching variable. So basically, they're going to give us a variable and what that variable is equal to. And then we're going to take that and we're going to plug it into the equation that we're given, or the expression that we're given. All right, so the first one, example 5, is actually an equation because it has an equal sign there. We are asked to find what f of 4 is. Remember, this is really saying that we want to replace anywhere that we see an x with a 4. So I'm going to do that. F of 4 is equal to 3, and then remember, anywhere we see this variable, we want to put parentheses, and then we want to replace it with a 4. So 3 times 4 squared plus 1. Remember, back to our order of operations, our gems, we want to do any grouping first. Now we do have a set of parentheses here around the 4, but within that set of parentheses, there's nothing that we can do to simplify that. So we've taken care of that step. And then we want to look for exponents. We have something being squared, so we want to deal with that first. So I have f of 4 is equal to 3, and then I'm squaring the 4, which is going to give me 16, and then I have plus 1. So I've taken care of my exponents. The next thing I want to do is multiply and divide. I do have some multiplication. I am multiplying 3 times 16, which is going to give me 48. And then I'm down to my last step of 48 plus 1. So f of 4 is going to equal 49. And that's going to be my answer. So I checked off my multiplication and division. I checked off my subtraction and addition. And I'm come down to my final answer of this equation. F of 4 is equal to 49. All right. The next one, you'll notice we don't have an equal sign, so this one actually is an algebraic expression. So between these two examples, example 5 and example 6, you can see the difference between what an algebraic equation and an algebraic expression look like. We're still going to follow the same process though. So what we're going to do is everywhere we see an m, we are going to replace the m with a 5. And anywhere that we see a p, we're going to replace it with a negative 2. And again, anytime we're plugging in for variables, I really encourage you guys to put parentheses where you're plugging that in so that you can group signs together and that you can make sure that you tell operations apart. So I'm going to replace that m at the very beginning with a 5. And then I'm going to have a parentheses. And then I'm going to replace that p with a negative 2 that I'm also going to put in parentheses. And then I'm going to write the rest of the problem. Minus 7 squared minus 10 divided by 2. So again, I want to make sure that I follow my order of operations. Now in this case, we have a giant grouping situation. We have a whole bunch of things all in the same parentheses. So what we need to do is we need to focus on doing everything in that set of parentheses first, but within that we need to follow the operations as we simplify that individual process. So for right now, I'm going to leave that 5 chilling on the outside, and I'm going to work through the order of operations inside my parentheses. So inside the grouping, the next thing I would need to do is my exponents. So I'm going to leave that negative 2 there, and then I need to simplify my exponents. Now, one thing to pay attention to on this one, it is negative 7 squared. Notice that that negative is not in parentheses. The only thing that that squared is attached to is the 7. So I'm going to leave that minus sign there, and when I do 7 squared, that's going to give me 49. Now this is not how this problem is written, But if you would have had, for some reason, negative 7 squared, notice that that is in parentheses. So you would square the negative with it. That would be negative 7 times negative 7, which would give you a positive 49. What we actually have is a negative and then the 7 squared. So 7 times 7, which would be a negative 49. So make sure you pay attention to the difference of what the exponent is connected to. We want to go with what we've got right here. This is not what we're dealing with in this situation. So I have minus 49, and then I'm going to copy down the rest. Minus 10 divided by 2. So the next thing I want to do within my parentheses is my multiplication and division. So I'm going to bring down that 5 that was still on the outside. I don't want to lose him. And then I still have negative 2 minus the 49 that I have now. And then I have division. I have a minus 10 divided by 2, which is going to give me 5. I've taken care of my multiplication now, inside here at least. And now I'm going to do my addition and subtraction. So a negative 2 minus 49 is going to give me a negative 51. And a negative 51 minus 5 is going to give me a negative 56. So I have finally simplified everything that was in that monster set of parentheses that I had at the very beginning. And now I can pick up with the order of operations for everything that's outside of it as well. So the last thing I need to do is multiply 5 times negative 56. And that's going to give me negative 280. And that will be my answer. Alright, so we have finished the first 4 videos that make up your first lesson. So at this point you have 2 more you-try problems to attempt. Go ahead and complete those. Check your answers. Make sure you ask for any help that you need going over this process. And then what you're going to want to do next is you are going to want to do the practice problems assigned by your teacher that follow this section. It's going to look something like this. You're going to have a little practice makes better banner, and that's going to start your practice. The practice will go all the way through to page 7, and you'll notice a little section called spiral practice. This is part of your practice. Generally, unless your teacher has told you otherwise, that will need to be completed along with your practice section. The way that you will know that you are done with your practice is you will hit this banner for lesson 1-2. So go ahead and work through this practice section and any problems that your teacher has assigned to you. And then we will pick up in the next lesson with a new set of videos. Alright, as always, make sure you're asking your teachers if you have any questions. We will take a little quiz called a mastery check over this lesson, and really if you guys can do the practice section, you'll be able to do that quiz with no problem. So make sure that you're taking your time on this, make sure that you complete it, and make sure that you ask for any help that you need. Alright, see you guys next time.